Thank you everyone for coming. This is a very crowded fireside chat. Thank you everyone for making the time in your busy schedules and coming out this evening. Um, Tonight we are moving for the second edition from seasonal traditions to you something more continues. And before we begin, I would like to take a minute to thank the people and the partners who make this series possible. The first thank you goes to the Ministry of Family Affairs, Solidarity, Living Together, and the Reception of Refugees for their support and trust. And this series exists thanks to them. The second thank you goes to you, Radio Ara, my long-standing partner on Bourgmeisterin, for believing in the project, for supporting it, and for helping take these stories outside of the room into the real world. And today we are exceptionally lucky to have two representatives of Radio Ara who I will kindly ask to you stand up. The first one is the editor-in-chief of 30 years, Lisa McLean. Can I please ask you to get up so that everybody could see you? Voila, round of applause. And the current editor-in-chief, Francisca Pescio, quietly in the back. Francisca has been with me since the very beginning of Bourgmeisterin, has seen it all. So thank you both for coming. And of course, a huge thank you to you, Newman staff, for hosting us tonight. Jan is our events manager, standing quietly in the back. He's been amazing with helping us organize this entire thing. So thanks a lot. Hosting this evening with this particular topic tonight is not just practical, it's actually meaningful because the current where we are tonight is, has always been historically a district for working people, craftsmen and artisans. For centuries, it has been home to craftsmen whose work depending directly on water. Primarily, it was bound by the fact that the Alzette River is in the closest proximity to where we are. So your tanners, millers, and blacksmiths, they pretty much were the main craftsmen who were operating here in the grid. And these professions were not only skilled, but also essential for the functioning of the city. And the presence of the abbey was also quite significant, not only because of the religious, like it being the religious space, but also because it was part of a wider system where labor, production, and daily life, just the everyday life, were closely intertwined. So when we're talking about craft here today, we are not introducing anything new into this phase. We're actually coming back to something that has always been a part of it. And this is really interesting to talk about what is it like to work with tradition today when it's no longer a necessity, but a choice. So to not forget to introduce myself because I forgot to do that last time during the last event. Not a lot of people I understand know where Bourgmeisterin came from. So my name is Julia and I founded this public history project 2.5 years ago. It started as a blog where I would publish stories about anything that I would see in Luxembourg, starting from the buildings to parks to people that were linked to that. And then it developed into a podcast/radio show with Radio Ara, and it continues to this day. And now we host live community building events. And if anyone told me about that almost 3 years down the line, I thought I would think that I was dreaming. So tonight I'm joined by an amazing Debbie Kirsch, with whom we are going to be speaking for the next hour. Debbie is a Luxembourg-based entrepreneur and the founder and the creative force behind Devì. It's a sustainable Luxembourgish fashion brand that she founded in 2018. So that was 8 years ago. We were trying to calculate how long was that just before the chat, and the store that a lot of us know is located in Luxembourg City and was opened 5 years ago. So Debbie has a background in biology and a master's in sustainable business and innovation. And she created Devi after completing an internship with Women Empowerment Social Enterprise in India, in Jodhpur. And her brand lives along the lines and has the values of sustainability and zero waste and meaningful collaboration with local artisans across India, Morocco, and Turkey, and recently Mexico.
Also in Mexico, exactly.
Voilà. So I always like to start with the personal side of things because I think this is the most natural way to begin a conversation, especially such a cozy one as a fireside chat.
Yes, it's very cozy.
How a biology student and the person who was always, thinking about themselves as leaning towards sciences rather than humanities, ended up going for the Master of Sustainable Business and Innovation.
Yes, indeed. It seems like a big detour, right? And it's a bit random, but I do think that it's always everything linked. And just to start from the beginning, I've actually always been very interested in clothes. It's something that I gave or I got from my mom and my grandma. They were always the most colorful people in the room, and they always taught me that you can really express yourself through clothes and colors mainly, not following any trends, but just being authentic to yourself. So I guess everyone who knows me since I was a little girl, I was always the colorful one. And it was also something that I got from my grandpa. He was Hungarian. So at home, he always had these very beautiful crochet, handmade, beautiful pieces. So I have always been already interested in fashion and decoration that has a meaning, a story, and that was handmade. But it's true, my educational path has always been more towards sciences. I was here in high school, I did sciences, and then I started my bachelor in biology. And there at some point we had a course about ecology and how all the big industries in the world, the big businesses are very, have a very bad and negative impact on the environment. And they talked mainly also about the fashion industry. And at that point, I did not know that after oil, the oil industry, the fashion industry is the second biggest polluter in the world. And I've always been also interested in businesses and industries and how we could have an impact on a positive impact on the world. So before pursuing a master's, I said, okay, let's stop after my bachelor's in biology and let's see to find a master that is aligned with my interest in the big industries and mainly also in the fashion industries. And I found a master's in Utrecht. It was called Sustainable Business and Innovation. And I found it very interesting because it was a research master and you could choose actually the industry that you would like to work in. And for me, it was fashion, but they required a lot of professional work already before applying. So that's why I decided to do a gap year. And to work. I was in Luxembourg at the UNESCO Commission and then at the Ministry for Sustainable Development to please my parents. And then I was like, now I'm going to do exactly. And I said, then now I'm going to do something that I'm really interested in. And my grandma always told me about India. I have three brothers, sorry, we were four kids. So we never really traveled very far with my parents, but I always traveled through my grandma and through the products and the garments that she bought because she was a globetrotter. And she always told me that you have to go to India. I know that you will love it. And so that year was like, okay, this is going to be the year where I will go. And I looked up a few social enterprises who are working in craft. And I found this amazing social enterprise called the Saheli Women in Jodhpur, like you said already. And I wrote them, I was like, hey, I would like to come for an internship. I don't know in what exactly because I have no background in designing, but I would love to learn. And they just wrote me, Madhu, she's the Indian founder of this NGO. And she was like, okay, just come. And I think 2 weeks later, I hopped on that plane and I went there. And I always remember the first time where I entered this center. So what they do is they take in women from like either lower castes, widows, or who have been outcasted from their societies, and then they take them in and they learn them, craft, like creating clothes, from stitching to repairing. And when I entered, so that's already 8 years ago. So I was a child, I would say almost myself when I got there. I entered the space and it was just full of colors, full of like these ladies, and it was just such a beautiful energy in there. And I was like, wow, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do the next 5 months here, but I know that I will stay. And they said, you know what you can do is you can help manage the project and also help finding international clients, maybe in Luxembourg or other people that you know who would like to produce clothes so that they could find people to work and create items with. And so I reached out to many people on Instagram, would you like to create clothes with us? But yeah, it was quite hard the first month or two to find actually clients for them. And due to the fact that I've always been interested in clothes and they could see this because I was like, wow, this is amazing. And this fabric and learning so much about this craft, because as you know, here in Luxembourg, mostly everything is quite a bit more toned down, let's say it like this, and we're not very close to how like our clothes are created. We don't see this craft on a daily basis. So I was just fascinated, and I think the ladies, they saw this and they were like, Debbie, why not create like a few pieces just meant for you? That's what we could do the next weeks. And I was like, okay, why not? So the first collection we did was made from saris, because for me the upcycling part was very important. I did not want to produce any new fabrics for our collections, but work with fabrics that existed already. And the ladies were like, you know what, I have at home still some saris that I'm not wearing anymore. So let's just use these months to do the first creations. And after, I think, 3 months came a point that was very, very crucial for me and for the creation of Devi. Sometimes people ask me what was really the point or the moment where you were like, you want to do this. And that was one day we were in Jaipur, in north of India, in Rajasthan, where you have a lot of clothes being produced. And I was walking around with local people from there. We were looking to source some fabrics. And it was the first time where I could really see the negative aspects of the fashion industry. For example, we were walking through the streets and like there were lying scraps of fabrics and whole fabrics everywhere in the streets. You could see the cows eating them. There were rivers where you could see the colors that were used to color the fabrics. The water was just dumped into these rivers. So I remember there was one little river, it was just literally just pink. And for me, it was really quite shocking. And then the really most shocking thing was we were walking, and at some point it was quite smelly. We talked about this already, and there were a lot of diapers. And I was like, what is this? And the people I was with, for them, it was so normal. They were like, well, if you see this, you know that around here is where people have to work to produce the clothes, and they get one diaper a day, and they're not allowed to go to the toilet. And that's just something, even still up until today, it just gives me like the chills, because I'm just like, how is that possible? It was the first time that I saw this. And for these people, it was just so normal. They were like, yeah, that's how most of our clothes are produced. And I was so shocked. I was like, okay, it didn't raise, like, I didn't think that in order for us to buy here sometimes clothes, it means that someone else on the other side of the world has to pay with their lives with it. And I remember the night I went to bed and I was so frustrated. I was writing to my friends, my family. I was like, did you know this? Like, we're part of this, right? I mean, not knowingly, of course, and I was so shocked. And then I started to look up and inform myself. And I'm like, okay, even though all the big brands here, they try their best, that we will never see any of this. They, like, all the clothes we buy are portrayed in the most beautiful, elegant way by all the big models, and it all looks so glamorous, but they do everything that you don't see, like, really behind the scenes. And then I really started to research. And for me, fashion was also always something so fun and light. But I could just see, like, for example, just to give you a few facts, like 10% of all the carbon emissions in the world are linked to the fashion industry. And we talk about aviation and international transportation, but no one really talks about fashion. It's the same with the water pollution. For example, one cotton of t-shirt like one t-shirt, one cotton t-shirt.
Mm.
I don't know, do you have any idea how much water is wasted or used to produce one t-shirt in cotton? Does anyone have
Any guesses?
I didn't hear it, sorry.
Several options. Can we please do another round?
Yeah, it's 2,700 liters for one t-shirt. That's years of drinking water.
Jeez.
2,700 liters for one t-shirt. It starts from the agricultural part. That's where the most water is used, right, to raise the cotton. But then the dyeing process, the coloring, it's, yeah, I mean, and all of this information, I was like, wow, I did not know. And after that, I was like, okay, now, ladies, I'm even more like determined and really motivated to create like a first line, clothing line with you. And yeah, so we moved on. The 5 months passed. I had the first collection that we upcycled from saris. I came home to Luxembourg and people loved it. I did a small event and we were sold out within a day. And the ladies were so happy. I remember when I called them, they were like, okay, now next collection, what should we do? And I was like, okay, because I got accepted then at my master's. So I was doing the master during 2 years while trying to grow the brands, which was great because I learned so many ways how to lead your business and implement sustainable aspects into the business models. And then also my thesis I did with Devi. I think at some point, like my teachers and also my colleagues at work, they couldn't see or talk about Devi anymore because it was just about Devi. But then after the 2 years, the business was to a point where it was really solid and we did a lot of events and pop-up stores here and also in Amsterdam. And then I came to Luxembourg. We had a pop-up. COVID, which was very hard, very challenging to select the fabrics because normally I go there every year and visit the artisans. And now, 8 years later, well, we work now with 8 different ateliers in the world. It includes 125 artisans. They're based, like I said, in India, Morocco, Mexico, and Turkey. We have our store since 5 years, and I have an amazing Luxembourgish team now as well. We're 4 girls. One is sitting over there. And yeah, we grew a lot slowly, steadily, but a lot. We were also the first Luxembourgish brand mentioned by the British Vogue. We are part of the United Nations Fashion Alliance. And yeah, it's tough sometimes.
Wow, look at you name dropping. You didn't tell me about that.
Yes.
Just so that everybody knows, we had like 4-hour worth of conversations and you never told me anything about was it UK Vogue?
Yes.
Wow. Where? Where?
It was
Where 6 years ago? Wow, okay.
That's the thing. This is not the it's like, it's really nice, especially when you work.
Yeah, it is.
Like you try to combine ethics and aesthetics. So you're very happy when someone recognizes your work who's coming more from the aesthetics work, the world. But it was, I remember when I called the ladies, I was like, we're in the Vogue. And they're like, so what is this? Okay. Like, and I was like, yeah, you're right. Like no one,
I mean,
it's not about this. So yeah.
I mean, yes, Vogue has contributed to the fast fashion by a lot. Like you can't probably take away, and I'm not against Vogue. I'm not against the fashion in general, but you probably can't just take away this fact from the equation, unfortunately. And I just wanted to point out that story with diapers, unless something else is like literally thrown into your face as a bystander, I guess there's nothing else that can maybe if you are a person with a very highly like acute emotional perception, but like if it's not something that is so square as such a clear of an example that is thrown into your face, I'm afraid that it's really difficult to get the put the point across and like for it to actually be perceived in the way that, well, this is not okay, this is not okay to produce clothing this way, so I think it's a very powerful story, powerful point. But yeah, so we've pretty much covered the beginning of the brand and of the journey that you started. It's really interesting that what started with a internship and then grew into an idea maybe of a business, because a lot of things, a, a lot of ideas that are developed within a business school context, they kind of just stay as ideas. At least this is what I saw, and not a lot of people put actual effort to take it beyond the university, beyond their studies. It requires some investment, it requires a lot of effort. And I think it's quite admirable that you just kept on pushing and you just decided that this is, probably what I found for myself, and this is what I would like to continue doing. Was that though a click of some of I that this is no, this is definitely it? Was that moment after you saw what was happening in India, or was it a bit later down the line?
Mm, I think it was actually the first moment where I entered the center, um, where I was just like, I mean, I was in a space I didn't understand anything. I don't speak Hindi still now. It's not very good my Hindi. The smell there. I don't know if you've ever been to India, but I think the first days when you're there, it's just like wow for all your senses. You're overwhelmed. It's beautiful, but it's tough also at the first like all
Okay.
together. And but still, I was in this center. I saw these ladies working, sparkling, laughing, creating clothes, and I just never felt so in the right place, like never before in my moment. And something in me sparked, and I was like, wow, this is really something that I want to work in. It gave me I saw meaning, and I think
Mm-hmm.
today in a world where everything is quite fast and often unfortunately very meaningless, I just felt so fortunate to have this spark. It was really a spark in me that came up. And then the second moment, of course, this negative experience made this spark, I think, even stronger. And yeah, where I was really like, okay, even if it's just on a small scale, just for me and my friends, but at least I would like to try it, have an impact on this, yeah, small scale then.
Well, I mean, define small also, because I feel like if you're making an impact that goes beyond just selling, a garment, an item, then I think that you've made, much more of an impact compared to you, like big companies and bigger, well, much bigger brands.
Mhm.
When we talk about craftsmanship, right?
Mhm.
It is a process, and a lot of times, unless if you put your like heart and mind to it to at least understand, it kind of appears, or it might appear a bit abstract.
Okay.
So you can you talk to us about the actual steps? What happens from the very beginning of a creation of a garment, when the process starts, through which phases maybe it goes, and where it ends. And this is the time for the next slide, much more colorful one. Voila, we have the fabric selection.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite a complex process, I would say, requiring many different steps. Uh, the first time when I saw all of these steps, I never thought about it because, like I said, mostly what we see here is just the end product, right? We just see the garment, and often we do not know all the process behind it. So the first step is always selecting and sourcing the fabrics. The example now that we're using is for our collections in India. So normally when I go to India, I go once or twice a year for a month. The first week is always just about the fabric. So over the last 8 years, I created a very solid network of fabric suppliers. So families who saw an an interest in brands using fabrics that exist already. And that's still up until today something that is super important for me. I do not want to create new fabrics because there exist already so many fabrics in the world. And for me personally, I chose that this was for me and my business model the most sustainable way to just use fabrics that exist already. These can be saris, thick shawls. These are amazing fabrics and very easy to upcycle. And then we also work with leftover fabrics, meaning that that's also one of the fabric supplies. It can be ateliers who produce, for example, block print fabrics. I don't know if you know what block print is. It's a very typical Indian craft where they use these blocks of wood to print on plain cotton. And sometimes they have leftover fabrics of 5 meters or 10 meters. So the problem is that most brands, what they want are hundreds, thousands of exactly the same product. So a fabric of 2, 3 meters is not of use of them. They want to produce new fabrics. So then I go, then they're like, okay, Debbie, so here we have 20 centimeters. Here we have 5 meters or 10 meters, and we just use then these fabrics. We buy these kind of fabrics. So that's always the first week. Now I do have a solid, I always have my journey that goes through. Here we have, for example, on the left is Babuji. He's my main supplier for saris. Then we have Deepak and his kids over there. They have like a really, really big warehouse as well with beautiful vintage fabrics. And what I like there is like it really takes a long time, and that's why I take always a week, because I want to sit there and feel kind of every fabric. So it's very important to me that every fabric I select, I always know it. And I also like to have other people participate in it. For example, the kids of Deepakji, they really like to get creative as well. For example, the daughter Lila, the older one, she's always like, "Oh, this could look beautiful," or "I think Debbie, you should choose that one." I'm always like, "Okay, you're right." And it's funny because Babuji's cat also sometimes is involved. Because sometimes I have fabrics, so I'm like, I don't know, I don't feel it, or I do know my clients by now. I don't think this fabric someone will buy it. And then sometimes the cat is then lying on it for quite a long time. And then I'm like, okay, I understood. I think we should take the fabric nevertheless. So it's a very long and slow process, which I really like to go through every single piece. Also because mainly also with the saris, most of these saris have already mistakes. Or they would go to landfills afterwards, because most of these saris are saris that Indian women do not wear anymore because they might have stains or holes somewhere. So it's a long process to really check every fabric, and then afterwards to bring them to the laundry where they will be hand washed. And so this step alone takes at least a week up to 10 days.
Yeah. Can you talk to us about there was one particular story, but it's not maybe the only story, just an example of I guess the experience that Debbie goes through. Whenever you arrive, like you leave the place where you stay at say like 9 or 10 a.m.
Mhm.
and then she might come back at either like 4 p.m. and that can be considered a good day, or it can be like 11 p.m. midnight. And can you share? Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, now after 8 years, I do have my fixed contacts, but sometimes people are like, "How did you find these people? How did you find these fabrics?" And that was basically the first 2, 3 years. That was the first picture on the left. That's just me jumping around on different people's bicycles who tell me that they have interesting fabrics for me. So yeah, in the beginning, it was really like I always call it a treasure hunt. Because in the morning I could ask, for example, the person at my guest house, like, "Hey, do you know anyone who's selling vintage or used saris or fabrics? Or do you know someone working with leftover fabrics?" Because due to the fact that here we're so like most brands are so focused on producing everything new, for them it was quite weird sometimes when people were like, "Oh, I'm looking for something that exists already or leftover fabrics." Then they always wanted to bring me to factories where they produce newly. And like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. So sometimes we had stories where in the morning I asked someone, "Do you know anyone who could have like fabrics that they don't need anymore?" And then 10 minutes later someone would show up in front of the guest house on a bike and be like, "Hop on, we will drive you there." And I'm like, okay. I wouldn't tell my mom, of course, but I was like, okay, let's go for the ride. And sometimes it didn't work out, but many times it did work out. And all the network, all the people I work with today, that's just how I met them, just by trusting people and believing in humanity and the good in people.
I don't even know you. I don't have a proper comeback to that, because when she told me about this story for the first time, like, how do you? It doesn't matter where in the world you are. It's just going somewhere with with a stranger because they told you that they have a candy. Well, in your case, that's fabrics. This is, well, you need to be a little bit nuts, which you are obviously,
Yeah,
but in the
really.
but in the best way. But it's also like a very, very good example of, the belief in the humanity. And then if you, well, obviously, if you are being conscious and smart about it,
Mhm.
on top of it, but yes, have this like innate, I guess, trust in the fact that things are gonna work out.
Mhm. Yeah, I think just to come back to this, it was interesting. The first year where I started the business, my close friends were like, Debbie, I don't think that you have the personality to run a business. You have to be tough.
Ouch.
And I know they're like, you're too kind and you believe always in the good and in the good in people. And I was like, okay. So in the beginning, I thought, oh, do I have to change now and become like a bit, like have this wall kind of in front of me, or become skeptical about everything and everyone. But now I have to say that I think due to the fact that I didn't change in that way, that I didn't try to be harder, but I stayed soft and open, mainly to other people, cultures, people of different religions. Because I mean, most of the people I work with, they come from all different kind of paths, different beliefs, different stories, and I think it's just something that shows if you stay open to this and you trust people, you give them a chance, that there are really nice things that can happen through this.
And once you've selected the fabric, so you imagine this pile in the middle. You've selected the fabrics and you've transported it to the laundry, and then it's ready. We get to the next point, I imagine, which is the ideation, the creation of the designs with the patterns made of cotton. So how does that look like?
Yes, so once we have the fabrics and they're all cleaned, then I will see what fabrics I send to what kind of ateliers. So some are better in like thicker fabrics, some are better in softer fabrics. And then I go and bring them, more normally in a big car or in a rickshaw. Sometimes you see me with a lot of fabrics, entering then the ateliers. And then the first step is always, when we have a new design, is to create a pattern. I don't know if you know what this is. It's well, you actually see it here on the first picture. You see this paper piece, which is the part of a back from a dress. So our clothes, they have so many different pieces. Like for example, this jacket has one, two, three, four, six different patterns. So we create these patterns. For the design, I mostly just take very simple designs, because the fabrics are already so strong and so out there. I think the design can be something very, very easy. And like this, also everyone, even the people who are new in the centers and just started with stitching, they can do and create the item. And once we have the pattern, then we create out of this pattern the first sample. So really the first piece. And that's for me the most, it's a very crucial moment, because you have this idea, right? But it's sometimes hard to translate it into something physical. So then we try the first piece on, and then from there on we do adjustments. This whole process takes about 2 weeks. We take adjustments. Sometimes designs, they never make it to life, because we just couldn't find this moment at the end where we're like, yeah, this is it. So yeah, I would say that's the process that takes the most time. And then we start the production. So what I mainly do there is, and I think that's one of the most important aspects. We also talked about it. So we have the fabrics, right, that we selected, and then we have the designs that we agreed on doing. But the most important one is actually that I let the artisans decide what fabric they want to use for what design. For example, we have a whole collection that can be done out of saris, 10 different dresses, 5 different kimonos, skirts, whatever. So, and then they can decide, okay, this fabric, I feel like it could be nice on a dress, or I think this one could look nice on a skirt. And that's for me the part that is beautiful, because in that way they don't only execute it, but they're an active part of the creation, and they can really integrate their creativity into the final product. So that's the moment actually where I leave them after 3 weeks, or 4 weeks sometimes. And I mean, there you see, that's how it's like. It's always very colorful. Every day we're in there. in the ateliers, sometimes people come by and say hello, especially in the Saheli Women's Center, always after the school of the kids, they come by because it's quite important that they see that their moms are the ones working. They're the financial backbones of their families. Especially this project, still after 8 years, it's my favorite project. Also, our biggest production is still done with the Saheli women. What they actually also create and contribute to is a school for the kids. So all the kids who of the ladies, they can go to school, and they have a healthcare project as well that is sponsored through the clothing production. And also the name Devi. Devi actually means, yeah, you see it written there. That was the first packaging bag that we ever did. That's 8 years ago. Devi means goddess, goddess in Sanskrit, in Old Hindi. And when we were sure that we would create the brands, the ladies were like, we really need to give it a name. And I was like, I was like, what should we do? It should be something short and catchy. And in the beginning, they're like, oh, call it Debbie. I'm like, no, I would feel awkward having just my name there. And then they said, let's call it Devi, because on the picture on the all top right, you see this little altar. And actually in the center, every morning and every evening, they have Devi, like the goddess, with them in the center. So they pray to her. They pray for good energy, that everything will work out fine. And they're like, you know what? Let's call it Devi. Because the 5 months where we worked together, it's like in my wildest dreams, I wouldn't have imagined that one day I would have a store and we would create a brand together. And I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I like it because it really reflects what the brand is actually about. It's really about us women just sticking together and believing in us and showing that if women support each other and stick together, that the most beautiful things can flourish out of it. And still until today, I'm so happy that we actually chose together to call it Devi, because still until today, I think that's really the essence um, of the brands. Just having this connection with all the people we work with. I mean, I go there every year. I got a baby now, so I didn't go last year, but I will go again with her. And it's just like this human interaction that we have with all the artisans, and that we can tell the story. And sometimes I say, for example, when people are like, "Oh, so you're the designer," I'm like, "No, I just feel like I'm the one." Like you have the different, like linking the different dots. You have the creators, you have the people we get the fabrics from, we have the clients here who are interested in these kind of garments, and I'm just the one linking and bringing it together and telling the story. But it's always very important for me that, I mean, today I sit here alone. I wish I would have the other 125 artisans with me here on stage.
We'll have them later
Yes.
on the other slide.
They're here. But yeah, I think it's just in general, yeah, a project that shows what is possible if people from different cultures and backgrounds are not scared of each other, but believe together in a dream.
I just wanted to also maybe highlight the fact that what you said about, and I think that it just talks about co-creation, the loudest, that you allow them to select the fabrics and the patterns and the colors for the designs that are created. Well, the designs that you come up with together. So once that's done, she leaves, and then they just decide which fabrics for you to choose for what, and then the end result is never known. So it's only when you pack the parcels, the package that comes from there, it's only then you see that this fabrics was used for a particular design. So I think this kind of highlights the fact of the agency that they have. I mean, beyond everything, one in addition to everything else that they already do prior to that. But I think this is, again, when we're talking about artisanship and craftsmanship, there's definitely like, a human element towards it. So I think this is beautiful. And voila. So this is the connection that Debbie was just talking about. We have the examples of the well, the actual, either collaboration or the community building. Can you talk to us about what's actually happened over these 8 years? So when you just started, do we have the Saheli women here? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So these are different pictures of the last years. Always when when I went there. And I think you can see, that's why I always like to look at these pictures, because it just represents so much color and joy for me. Sometimes as an entrepreneur, I don't know if someone in here has their own business, it can be very tough sometimes. And there are days where I'm like, oof, like, why am I doing this? Every month it's of course a struggle. We have to fight to get sales, to survive, because we have such an unconventional business model. A lot of people always coming in, where are the new clothes? Like it takes us 6 months, just as a little side note, to like from an idea to have the products, it takes us 6 months. So sometimes it's really, really hard. And then what I have to do is I have to look at the pictures, and then I'm again like motivated, and I know why I do what I do. But yeah, it developed a lot. It's funny, sometimes we say we got older together. I mean, they knew me as as I was 23 when I was there the first time, and they treated me almost like their kids, their daughter. And now it's beautiful to see how we all developed the brands, but also the ladies. Like I mentioned, now they're the main financial backbones of their families. It's beautiful to see their kids going to schools. So most of these women, they do not speak English. They learned now a little bit over the last years, but their kids do. And that's something really, really beautiful to see, where you kind of see the impact of what happens because of their mothers being able to work and gaining money and being able to send them not only to schools, but also now to private schools. Um, and last time when I was there, Gita Ji, she's the store manager. She has two very lovely boys, and I met them when they were like 3 or 4. And now they grew up. And last time we were in the center, and Gita Ji, she's such a fiercey lady. And when she entered the center 8 years ago, she was very quiet, very shy, always kind of hiding. Now she's like
Running the show.
and she's like, we have to do this, ladies, and you do this and that. And she's so present and so not scared to be seen. And last time I was there, I was like, wow, Gita Ji, like, you're on fire. And her boys were there, it was after school, and they looked at me and they're like, yep, my mama is a boss. And I was like, yes. And I was like, that's exactly why we do what we do. It's not really about the clothes, but it's more about the story behind it. And these are just, I could tell so many stories like this about just to see the evolution of the last 8 years, and what positive impact it can actually have if you create clothes in a respectful and beautiful way.
And I think also because we do need to, I mean, we've mentioned it several times, you are a social enterprise. So Devi is a social enterprise, and social enterprises usually have unconventional business models, like you said, and you not only, the difficulty, I guess, is um, in not only generating the financial value, but also the social value and how you measure it, right? This is, well, it's just, this is, my by the book knowledge, but it's always been, I struggle to even explain it to you, I don't know, people who work for you, even if you yourself understand it because you founded it and you created it, that's your, that's your baby, effectively. But when it comes to your business actually surviving and being sustainable, I guess, is something that makes it quite difficult to maintain. And then in terms of the other place as well, like how can you take it forward further, how you can grow it if you want to do that. I wanted to talk to you about this business development aspect of Devi, because indeed, when you maybe maximize the extent to which you produce the items, in your case, this is clothing, you might risk diluting the quality. And the question is, how do you approach that? What are your thoughts about growing the company, making it bigger, maybe maximizing the selling points, such as the stores and whatnot? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think from the beginning on, it was quite clear that my business model is not a business model that can grow a lot. But nevertheless, I wanted to do it. And I remember in Amsterdam, no, it was in Utrecht, we had like a pitch event where people could come and pitch their business model. And I pitched Devi. And the jury, they were like, your business model is like, you cannot grow it. Like, you will never find investors and all. Like, they were just like, why are you even here? Like, and for me, it was so important to, I think today we think everything is so needs to be fast and we're so focused on growing. So many people always ask me, what's your growing plan for the next 5 years? Like, where do you want to be in 5 years? I'm always like, in this tough economy, I'm happy if I still exist in 5 years. So I've never been so focused on growth, but more on maintenance. And we actually had one teacher at university in the masters who recommended me a book, which was great. And it's called Prosperity Over Growth, where they say that, I mean, in general, like you cannot aim for infinite growth in a planet with finite resources. And that's something that I do think we have to all shift our minds, because we're so focused on more, growing. And that's really not what I want to do with my business. I mean, I will never become a millionaire, but that was clear from the beginning on. If not, I would have a different professional path. But for me, this maintenance and this prosperity, meaning that I know everyone along the supply chain, even though I don't like to call it a supply chain, but more value chain, is respected, it's transparent. Um, you just know that this social and human aspect for me was more important. And I mean, don't get me wrong, we always say you need to have a business model that covers the 3 Ps: the people, the planet, and the profit, because if not, you, of course, you cannot survive as a business model. But yeah, for me, this is it. Like, more than a store and maybe sometimes a pop-up store, I don't think that we would manage to do it, because if not, I would have to compromise the way we produce. And I always say I want to know every single person I work with by name. I want to know every single fabric I select. If I cannot talk for at least 10 minutes about each product and know the story, I will not have the motivation and the heart to sell it. So that means that we cannot grow too much, but that's fine as well. And I think that's what makes the brand so authentic.
Yeah, authenticity, I guess, is the key word here. And we, after the production of the, we're still in the process, everybody, just for the context. So after the production, after the creation, let's not call the production, after the creation of a garment, we arrive to what's defined as the final product. The final product, that's the actual clothing. What you see here, these are the snapshots from the photo shoots that's done at the end. So once a collection is created, and the photo shoots are usually organized in the locations where, well, it can be clothing, or it can be also pieces, like, for example, at the left bottom, I think this is Morocco, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if this can be also accessories or cups or homeware and whatnot. And you're talking about how important this particular, like, maybe closing round of the entire, like, creation loop is for you. Why?
Yeah. Um, because so as a result, most of the items we sell, almost all of them, are one of a kind. So we really have each piece just once. And we put so much love and work into these pieces. So when they arrive, in the beginning, we didn't do shoots because they just arrived and we sold them and then they were gone. And sometimes I was still thinking about some items. I was like, oh my God, I will never see them again. Like, so sad that we didn't have at the end of the value chain a momentum for the pieces. And I love photography and being quite creative. So I thought it would be so nice that at the end, when the pieces arrive, that I choose the ones that I really love the most, and I do a nice campaign shoot with them, always in the locations that we worked with. So most of these pictures have been done in India or Morocco, where I also work then with local photographers, which is again an aspect that I really like, to bring another form of arts again into the value chain. So a photographer and models, and they can also express themselves. So it's also quite fun, the shooting day, because I never say you have to do it like this or that. We just go through the streets, go with the flow, and we see what will emerge and put everyone's creativity together. And like this, my favorite pieces I will always keep. I have at home a lot of these pieces. So I don't have the problem anymore that once I think about something, and someone bought it, I will not remember it anymore. And so for me, this is like at the end really the cherry on the cake. If someone asks me what do you do, I'm like, I don't know these pictures.
And when I was putting this slide together, I think this was like one of my happiest evenings, because just look how healthy white Western people look when they wear the colorful clothing that was produced by Devi. So these are the pictures from what you call catwalks with the customers that you organize sometimes, and this is, I think, these pictures are the epitome of what I think it feels as a customer here, because I've also experienced all these feelings. I'm also a customer of Devi, and I'm probably the least objective person who can be interviewing you on this entire subject matter. But I think it's quite telling that what emotion it also invokes in people. That our worlds are very different. Like you said at the very beginning, Luxembourg is not as colorful. It's more toned down originally, and when you bring something like that, it's like when we have a beautiful weather, like automatically people just feel better, the mood is better. It's just brings out I think the the best in people. And so I think that for a lot of people, it works the same way with clothing, because once you've put something nice on and it's of a nice color that you like, and it looks bright and it looks the way that you would like you would like it to look. Obviously, it improves the entire frame, like it improves the entire context way in which you exist. And I think these pictures, just to hand over the word to you, um, these pictures represent this bridge between the cultures, and how, in addition to that, Luxembourg now being like half of the population is international, and it's probably very also very much represented by our audience in this room. And I think this is something that highlights it. This is the reality. We have international people living here, especially in Luxembourg City, and we have international cultures from abroad coming here. And I think that educating both sides on uh, well, I guess the aspects and the peculiarities of the cultures of one another, this is something that contributes to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think also due to the fact that the supply chain is so short and small, we're all very much linked to each other. And for me, being at the store, it's just my happy place, because it's where I can tell the story of our pieces. That's why also people sometimes ask me, why do you not develop more your online, like your website? And I'm like, I don't really want to. I want people really primarily to come into the store, see the items, try them on, take their time. I think sometimes people are also a bit surprised, because quite often we tell people like, we don't think you have your coup de coeur. Like, we don't think, like, they try things on and we're like, we don't think that the one is there. They're like, wow, it's the first time that we're at the store and someone is saying we should not buy something. But we really want to promote at the store this more conscious consumerism, slow consumerism. Even though it's hard, I mean, we are a brand, we do need to buy and people to consume in order for us to survive as a business. We really try to try to find this very special piece for this one person, and we really just want them to buy it when it's made for them. And I think over the last 8 years, that's how we really created a beautiful community. So many people, they just like to come to our store, also sometimes just to hang out, especially on gray days. I think it's psychologically proven that colors make you happy, and it's increasing your mood. So yeah, I think that's just a space where everything comes together, and where we tell the story behind it, and also where the loop is actually close. Like, sometimes I say it's not even a value chain, but a value circle, because so often we do pictures of the people who buy our items, and then we ask, can we send the picture to the artisan who created it? And people are like, yes, of course. And then we send the pictures, and they're so proud to see where the story ended of this product. And vice versa. We had clients also who wrote already letters to the people, because so often they come to the store, honestly, and that's what makes me like the most proud is sometimes people come to the store for the most important moments of their lives and they choose to have a piece from us. We have people who come for their wedding, like we did wedding dresses for people. So many girls who come with their moms for their prom dresses, and then they come out and we're all crying and emotional, and it's just like these emotions and this sense of caring and being human that we try to do all along these different steps. And it's beautiful that we managed to translate this also into the store. And yeah, we have a beautiful community. We try to do many events as well and to just bring again meaning and value to the way we consume.
Yeah, I was just going to say this is a real like community building, but not just community building, but I think as I mentioned, like connecting, and as you were talking about, connecting the dots, like being this agent. And I guess the word agent is probably not enough here. Like it does not describe the whole beauty of how empowering, I guess, like a role or by of an initiator like you and like your business is. Do we have any questions? Because we still have the time out.
Alors, je vais poser ma question en français, si c'est permis. Donc, je voulais savoir, vous avez parlé avant du premier spécimen que vous fabriquez. J'aimerais savoir quelle taille il comporte et puis quels sont les critères de ce spécimen qui vont vous faire lancer la production. Quelle taille vous produisez et aussi, voilà, donc à Luxembourg, qu'est-ce que vous faites en fait des spécimens que vous ne vendez pas?
La taille, vous croyez la quantité ou les tailles des vêtements?
Oui, la taille du vêtement.
La taille du vêtement. Alors ça, c'est toujours quelque chose. Should I answer in English or
Probably
in English? Sorry. So sizing is always very complicated, to be very honest, because normally the sample that I talked about, the first draft kind of the clothes that we do, is always my size. So they always take my size, and then we say, okay, that's the S, and then we try to do M, L, XL. But due to the fact that we are not professional tailors, it can be very tricky. I don't know if someone is into tailoring themselves, but to do sizes, wow, it's really like it's quite difficult. So yeah, we try to have a range of very different sizes. We also do a lot of items that are very loose, one size, like large kimonos, for example, that fit everyone. But what we do now a lot, and I know also the people we work with, what they do a lot is they use AI actually for the sizing. So in that sense, because I mean, we talk about craftsmanship, right? Where we always say, okay, like, I mean, you need the man in the craft, but I think linked with AI, it can help a lot. So these kind of problems now, the last month, we try to avoid by using AI. So we say, for example, okay, this is the dress. We put in all the measurements that we have, and then we ask ChatGPT to create an M, L, and XL and give us the sizes for this, and that works really well. So, yeah. And it's also accessible for them, they all have an iPhone. They can just like this very easily work and create the sizes. Because if not, they would have to send me the samples again to Luxembourg. So we would see how the ML and XL actually fits and then send it back with adjustments. So like this, that's now how we work to do the sizes.
Je voulais juste savoir qu'est-ce que vous faites en fait des modèles que vous n'arrivez pas à vendre à Luxembourg, oui.
Ça, that's a very good point. So what we do is that, of course, you always have designs that didn't work out well. So what we do is, in the beginning, we sent these ones again back to India or to Morocco to use and upcycle again our own dead stock. But now what we do is that mainly we work with a Luxembourgish tailor who designs and creates something new out of it. So for example, we had last summer a collection of dresses which really didn't sell well. And she created something new out of it. But it's very close, of course, to us we would never throw anything away. Or yeah, because I mean, it's a very good point. We didn't have enough time, I think, in an hour to talk about all of this, but yeah, the upcycling part of your own creation is also very important. That's what we do here in Luxembourg. And also in India now, when we produce our items and there are scraps of fabric that are left, we always use 100% of our fabrics and do smaller accessories like scrunchies or hairbands or little belts to really use 100% of the fabrics we work with.
Next one.
First of all, congratulations. Beautiful, beautiful work and very inspiring. You touched on it really briefly about AI. How do you plan to incorporate the technology on such a human business?
Mhm. I think we're all quite sometimes afraid of AI, right? When we hear AI, we're like, whoa, what will happen to the people, to the craft? And I think you cannot take the man out of the craftsmanship. People will always see the difference. I think you just feel it. Like if you would look closely at this jacket, you see that it's made, like it's sewn by hands, it's embroidered by hands. But I think especially small businesses like ours, we can really use AI as a positive aspect to help us with small struggles, like I just explained, the sizing, or also sometimes product photography. For example, the artisans we work with, I'm in contact with them every day. And sometimes I'm like, okay, send me some pictures of the process of the production. And sometimes they send pictures and I'm like, okay, I don't see anything. Like it's somewhere lying in the corner or like it's super pixeled. And they use now a lot of AI, like Gemini, for example, AI, this app where they do a picture of the item, of the process, and then they send it to me and it looks super clean. I can really see the details. And so I think if we integrate it, it can actually help us a lot.
Hi, I was just wondering, and the finished products, like how will they arrive in Luxembourg? Like, yeah.
Yeah, they are shipped. So of course, that's the negative side, I would say, of our business model, environmentally seen. So normally what we do is we wait really until the whole collections are done and then we ship everything together. So we try not to send small parcels. In the beginning, we did it with the boats, but this can take up to 2 months, which when you have a fixed store is just too long sometimes to wait. So we do ship now with flights, which also now in the moment it's quite of a struggle. Like we struggled a lot the last weeks, month, not getting the items being stuck in Dubai because most of the items from India are shipped over Dubai. Fuel prices going through the roof, transportation costs, they increased by 30%. So it's a scary time, I think, for all of us. Sometimes people ask me, why do you not ship your production to Luxembourg? But like I think you always have to choose your battle. There are always trade-offs. You cannot concentrate on everything. No business model is 100% sustainable. I actually also don't really like the word sustainable anymore, to be very honest, because it can mean everything and nothing if you don't explain what it is. But definitely the tricky part of our business model is that we have this strong social aspect and impact in India, but it means that we have to ship the items by plane to Luxembourg, which is a struggle.
Yeah, echoing the congratulations and amazing, just truly inspiring for such a social entrepreneurship. And curious, obviously, we can support by shopping, which I definitely intend to do. How else could we support your business and the amazing women and stories that you're creating?
Thank you so much for your kind words. First of all, you can do donations. So you can do straight away donations to the Saily Women. Because some people, they tell me sometimes, okay, I love the whole concept, but unfortunately I don't like the clothes, which is also fair enough. I mean, I don't want anyone to buy something if it doesn't resonate with them, or say if it's ending up in your wardrobe never being worn. That's not the point of the whole project. But yeah, you can donate straight away. I can give you their Instagram or Madhu's. She's the founder of the Sadie Women number. And that's also how you can support them. They have so many different projects always working on and funding. So yeah, they're happy for every euro they can get.
So for me as well, like really inspiring your story. And my question is there any network of similar social entrepreneurships that are operating in the way you are somehow, like in Luxembourg or in Benelux or in the wider region? Some other companies with a similar business model that you collaborate with, you support each other, you share experiences, good practices?
I have to say in Luxembourg a little bit less. But when I go to India, I meet a lot of people who like do the same or kind of same work than I do. Do you have many in the Netherlands actually? So also when I used to study and live there, there were more these kind of social entrepreneurs focusing on the fashion industry. And we definitely support each other because we're all in the same boats. And I think always you should not see each other as a competition, but to support each other's cause because you work toward the same goal. So yeah, they are. I don't know if you're interested in getting other people's contacts or if you're yourself interested in joining such a network. If not, we can create one here in Luxembourg. I don't know if someone else would be interested in this, but
Down.
yeah.
Done.
Yeah, I also started actually with consulting. So there are a few people now in Luxembourg who would like to start creating similar things or have similar ideas. And yeah, I have a whole framework of ideas or concepts on how you can implement, like I always say, the 3 Ps: people, planet, profit, and to see and analyze your business model.
Now that's it? I think so. Okay, so I think we can wrap up. Thank you again for agreeing to this, to doing this with me. Thank you for sharing your story. I think it was amazing. Like, honestly, all the conversations that we had in the run up today, obviously, there was yet another time when we didn't have enough time to cover all the points that we wanted. But I think it was quite detailed, quite fruitful. And yes, count me in towards, the very long list of your fans already existing. And thank you to the audience. I mean, you can do a round of applause to yourselves because you've been amazing and, you've come down tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.